Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. We'll start with LSU football as we generally do, some comings and goings in the transfer portal. The first I want to talk about is one of the goings. That is Logan Diggs, and it surprised me a little bit to see Logan Diggs' name pop up into the transfer portal. I realize that you're running out of time to do that, and you can declare for the NFL draft whenever you want, so this is maybe the first step in that process. The second piece of this is he left the bowl game on New Year's Day with an injury, and it needed a brace immediately, and he was kind of assisted off the field and down into the tunnel, so I don't know what Logan Diggs' health status is. He has been in college a long time. He has graduated from Notre Dame. He has played a year for the flagship school in his home state, being a New Orleans native, and he's kind of accomplished a lot at the college level in terms of being a starting running back, playing at Notre Dame, graduating, playing for LSU. I'm curious that he would think he would need to go somewhere else to play. He had a good year this year. If you go by yards per game, he was 11th in the Southeastern Conference, only played in 10 games, had some injury issues, wasn't around for the Florida State game, but he hit a groove there at the end of September where against Arkansas, he ran it 14 times for 97 yards. That's 7 yards a carry. Against Ole Miss, he was fantastic, 19 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. They really featured him in the Missouri game. I think LSU, at that point, we didn't quite know what Jaden was, and you wanted to keep Missouri and Luther Burden off the field against the LSU defense, and LSU really ran the ball a lot against Missouri. Logan Diggs carried the ball 24 times that day for 134 yards. That's right at almost 6 yards a carry. He had a touchdown in that game. He ran it for 97 against Auburn. I mean, he emerged in a very, very, very crowded running back room as the most productive LSU running back through the middle of the season. And so, yes, I would welcome Logan Diggs back with open arms. He is a very, very, very solid SEC back. I have lamented the talent level in LSU's running back room the last 3 years or so. Diggs was the best LSU had this year, and absolutely I would welcome him back. That said, if he feels like he would like to continue his college career somewhere as a graduate or would like to start his professional career, from an LSU perspective, I look at that group, and I know that Caleb Jackson and Trey Holly are coming back, and I know that Caden Durham is coming in. And I think all three of those guys have a real chance to be really, really good players. We talked earlier this week about how tough it is to ask freshman defensive linemen to come in and help. We even talked about how it's tough for Brian Brzee as a New Orleans Saint rookie to come in and play on the defensive line as a first-year player. That's just really hard to do. It's always hard to play as a first-year player, but some positions may be a little easier than others. And if Caden Durham is your third team back next year as a freshman with all the talent he has, that's fine. And more importantly, if LSU breaks the huddle the first time in Las Vegas and Caleb Jackson's back there next to your starting quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, like, I'm good. There has to be some reason that Caleb Jackson didn't get a ton of touches this year, even in the bowl game. There must be some missing piece there that I don't quite know about. It's certainly not talent, because Caleb Jackson's ability, his size, power, and speed, in comparison to the rest of the guys in that group this season, he's the tops. That's not debatable at all. Biggest, strongest, fastest, he's the dude. Now, you want to tell me he doesn't quite know the entire playbook, especially with a fifth-year senior quarterback making checks? Okay. You want to tell me you've got a Heisman Trophy winner back there at quarterback? You cannot risk him getting pressured. You need the best pass-protecting back there, and Caleb Jackson's not it? Okay. You want to tell me that his vision's not quite there? All right. Like, I can see some of the technical aspects of the game potentially being tough for a young player. And that's why having Logan Diggs and Josh Williams around and John Emery for a lot of the season is a really nice luxury to have, because those guys you don't have to worry about. They've been around college since the second Obama administration. Like, they've been around a long time. Now, Caleb Jackson's talent level, Caden Durham's talent level is phenomenal. And I'm okay with where LSU's running back room is, no matter what Josh Williams decides he wants to do. I would again, welcome Logan Diggs back because he is a heck of a player. Curious to see that he decided to move on, but we'll see what the next move is for, right now, the Tiger running back who is entering the transfer portal. On the way in on the transfer portal front is Jyaire Brown. We know that LSU, for the third consecutive season, is going to have to do some work in the transfer portal in the defensive backfield. It started with Jordan Gilbert, the safety product from U-High and Texas A&M. Now you've got Jyaire Brown, who started his high school career at Warren Easton in New Orleans, then moved up to Lakota West up in Ohio before signing with Ohio State. He's a 5'11 corner who's played 2 seasons for the Buckeyes. He played more snaps than any true freshman Buckeye 2 years ago and played the second most snaps on the entire Ohio State defense 2 seasons ago. He played 197 snaps. Sorry, that's incorrect. He played more snaps than any freshman for Ohio State last year, second place being their running back, Dallin Hayden. So he was on the field a lot as far as freshman reps go for Ohio State. He only played in 4 games last year, and statistically speaking, he hasn't done a ton. Now, cornerback is not a huge statistics position. You cover the guy, and they throw it somewhere else, you get nothing for that. The only way something happens is if you get your hands on the ball one way or another, or the guy you're covering gets his hands on the ball and you tackle him. So it's not a huge statistical position. Here's what I can say about Jyaire Brown. The people who evaluate high school football players thought him to be one of the better cornerbacks in the country. He was a 4-star recruit basically across the board. Ohio State thought enough of him to offer him a scholarship. They also thought enough of him as an early enrollee with a spring under his belt to play a good amount as a true freshman on a really, really good defense. I know those things to be true. I also know that he did not play in a lot of games this past year, and his production has not been statistically overwhelming to this point. But I say all that to say, you know what? We just don't really know. Look at the last 2 years with LSU in the defensive backfield. I don't need to run guys into the ground or name a bunch of names, but you'll know what I'm talking about here. They've taken 2 guys over the last 2 years that have been named all conference at another P5 level. One of them worked out very well. One of them did not. They've taken 2 players from the FCS level in this state. One of them could keep up. One of them could not. They've taken 5 stars from elsewhere that have worked out or not. They've taken 3 stars that have gone elsewhere in the Southeastern Conference that have showed up, and some's been good and some's not been so good. This is not a situation where you're pulling in Caleb Williams from Oklahoma to USC. That's going to work out. Jahmyr Gibbs going from Georgia Tech to Alabama, that's going to work out. Most of the gets in the transfer portal are just kind of wait and see. So I'm certainly not here to tell you Jyaire Brown, oh my gosh, former 4-star, Ohio State, coming into LSU. This guy is ready to lock people down as a junior. This is going to be a stud. Great pickup for the LSU secondary. I'm also not ready to tell you, this guy didn't play that much last year. He's probably not very good. I don't know. And I don't know that the LSU staff knows. Here's what I do know. They better go to the transfer portal and pull in some defensive backs. Because the group that ended up playing there at the end of this past year was super young, and they played like they were super young. And they've got a spring and a summer and a fall camp to get better, but there needs to be reinforcements brought in. Jordan Gilbert's one of those, and let's see what Jyaire Brown can do. This is the 3rd straight year. Sevyn Banks came in, got hurt on a kickoff, couldn't play. J.K. Johnson comes in, breaks his leg in fall camp, can't play. Now Jyaire Brown, the 3rd straight year LSU's brought in a DB from Ohio State. If you're going to be fishing in some waters for defensive backs, Ohio State, generally speaking, got some guys that can really play. And at a certain point, lots of people thought Jyaire Brown can play. I'm certainly hopeful that he can step in and be a guy. He's got good measurables. He's got a good pedigree. The production has not been there. So I'm going to sit right on the fence on this. I'm not going to bang my fist on the desk here and say this is a huge hit. I'm not going to say, where's his statistics? This guy stinks. We'll see. They needed to bring in some guys in the transfer portal. They are starting to really build up the ranks from the high school level. You had some guys that got to the field pretty quickly this year. Talking about Javian Toviano, Ashton Stamps, Ryan Yates, Kylan Jackson. Like, there are a lot of guys from the high school players that have a lot of ability that were freshmen this year. You brought in 6 or 7 DBs in this high school signing class. You brought in 2 from the portal. Like, they're starting to build it up the way that you should, but they still have to supplement it from the transfer portal, and I'm willing to take a shot on Jyaire Brown. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.